Well, look, thank you all so much for coming. Just Zach Klein, Columbus City Attorney, here to announce today really what is the first of its kind in the country diversion program that treats the underlying reasons why someone commits a crime in order to truly make our community safer. So when I became the Columbus City Attorney, I challenged my team a very simple question that yields a very complex answer. Why did this defendant commit a crime? Pretty simple. But the answers, whether it's drug addiction, mental health, food insecurity, housing insecurity, underemployment, unemployment, lack of opportunity, are very complex reasons why people find themselves in the criminal justice system. So what we've created is a pilot diversion program that focuses on big box theft, big box shoplifting, the Krogers, the Targets, the Walmarts of the world. And we've identified defendants that's not their first offense, and it's also not their 10th or greater offense. So people in between. And we have partnered with the Healthcare Collaborative of Greater Columbus. It's called the Hub Diversion Program, that asks a 36-question screen, screen that identifies the underlying reason why someone commits a crime. And things may pop like, well, food insecurity or a drug addiction or mental health. And each individual defendant gets a tailored plan, a prescription, if you will, to that defendant in order to treat the underlying reason why that person is before the court. So for example, if housing and food insecurity and mental health pop, part of your diversion program will be to visit your food bank, to go get an assessment for mental health. Now this is a 6-month diversion program, and if you make significant strides in order to be able to address those underlying reasons, then we will dismiss the case out of court. The goal here is to focus on recidivism. The goal here is not necessarily what I think we've seen traditionally in the criminal justice system, which is just solely focused on convictions. Only if we treat the underlying reasons why someone commits a crime will we truly make our community safer. And that makes sense. Think about it. If you're driven by food insecurity or you're driven by a drug addiction issue, and we don't treat the underlying reason of lack of food or abusing a drug, if we don't treat that underlying reason, then of course that person will continue to steal to provide food for their family. That's human nature. Or if you look at addiction as a relapsing brain disease, of course that person will continue to maybe break into your car or steal from a big box store in order to get money to feed that addiction. We have to get at the root causes of why someone commits a crime if we truly are going to make our community safer. And that's what we've designed in this first of a kind nationwide program, is the opportunity for us to treat the underlying reasons why someone commits a crime. And where I think you've seen prosecutors' offices around the country, and what makes this unique, is most prosecutors through prosecutor-led diversion will ask about mental health and drug addiction. And those are pretty two standard questions, especially with the proliferation of opioids in our community. But what makes this different is we go beyond that. We look at housing, we look at food, we look at jobs. And sometimes with these community health workers who literally hold their hands to go to appointments, it may be something like a mechanical issue with their car that these folks, these social workers, will work with them in order to get their car repaired so they can show back up at work. So if we want to make our community safer and truly make us safe as a community, we have to treat the underlying reasons why people commit crimes. And if we don't do that, then our community truly isn't going to be safe. And it's my job as city attorney and city prosecutor is to make our community safer. And so this is a significant step forward in the right direction, that my goal is going to be the future of criminal justice, not just in the city of Columbus, but in our country, is looking at how we treat recidivism and not just focus on conviction. Because the status quo, what we're currently doing now, are having defendants show up, they may get time served, they may pay or get issued a fine, but then they go on with their lives without looking at the underlying reasons why they're there. And we wonder why people continue to come back to the court system. Like, that's not making us safe. We have to treat the underlying reasons why people are there. And why people are in court, and that's exactly what we're doing through this program. Now, Medicaid and Medicaid expansion has been a significant part of us being able to afford a program like this. But not everyone is eligible for Medicaid, and some may even have private insurance. And that's where our partnership with Columbus City Council has come in. And I want to applaud Councilmember Shayla Favor, who has joined me here today, and Council stepping up with a financial commitment so that folks who may not qualify for Medicaid can still get the assessment and still get the hand-holding that he or she needs in order to get the help to pull them out of the cycle of criminality that breeds the cycle of poverty that then becomes sometimes generational for their kids. So if we really want to make our community safer, we have to give people the tools in order to pull them out of that cycle. And that's what the Hub Diversion Program exactly does. So Councilmember Paper.
Good morning, and thank you, City Attorney Klein, for inviting me to be a part of today's announcement. My name is Councilwoman Shayla Favor, and I serve as the chair of the Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee. Your office is doing some great work to creatively address the needs of our community, and this program is no different. As a former prosecutor, I have personally witnessed the barriers that many individuals throughout our community have to basic needs like food, adequate shelter, transportation, and other social determinants of health. The lack of access to these basic needs all too often can lead to devastating life consequences, including criminal charges. As a young prosecutor, I had the opportunity to speak with several individuals who were facing convictions for crimes that were committed only in the name of survival. Whether it was to ensure a roof over their family's head or to secure food on the table. Without access to resources, many felt as though they were backed into a corner and made decisions that run contrary to their personal and moral code of action. This is a difficult cycle to break. And as chair of this committee, I am committed to efforts that will effectively reduce recidivism throughout our community. And to effectively make sure individuals are not returning to court, we must ensure that they have access to housing, food, education, jobs, mental health services, and other determinants that create pathways out of poverty. And this is exactly what Helping Understanding Barriers Diversion Program will do. By providing individuals with access to resources that will help determine those needs, we are getting to the root cause of the problem. Addressing the underlying issue will effectively reduce the number of people from engaging with the court system overall. Again, I want to thank City Attorney Klein and all of our partners that are here today for their forward-thinking and progressive action in implementing this program. City Council is proud to invest in this initiative and have committed $25,000 to provide that additional financial assistance for individuals who are not Medicaid eligible. We are looking forward to see this progress in our community. Thank you.
So again, what appears to be a first of its kind in the country program is a cultural shift in the way we look at criminal justice, moving away from just solely being reliant on convictions and focusing more on recidivism to truly make our community safer. The history of the criminal justice system, at least in the past couple decades, has been strictly punitive, without much focus on rehabilitation and actually using the criminal justice system as a way to lift people up. And that is how I view the criminal justice system, and what I view as the future of criminal justice is that there are still bad people that deserve to go to jail for a very long time. I will be the first to advocate for those people to get off the streets and make sure they're incarcerated. But for the vast majority of individuals, it's the fact that they fall on hard times. They need a leg up. They need a helping hand to pull them out of this cycle. The criminal justice system does not always need to be punitive. It should be punitive for those who it deserves to be punitive for. But the criminal justice system can also be a tool for rehabilitation. And that's the focus of the city attorney's office under my guidance and leadership, is how we can use this as an opportunity to make our community safer, to truly make our community safer, because the way we've done it is not that. But also to give people the chance to be economically viable, so they can get an opportunity to get a job, provide for their family, be the moms and dads they want to be. So it takes a program like this, a diversion program, that provides people the tools and opportunities for success, whether it's food insecurity, underemployment, unemployment, housing, car assistance, maybe rental assistance if you can't simply make that month's rent, so they can be the moms and dads they want to be, and then we can make our community safer. That's the purpose of the criminal justice system, and my role as a prosecutor, and what we'll always think about as long as I'm the Columbus City Attorney. So at this time, we're happy to take questions. If it's technical in nature, I have folks that do this every day to kind of get into the weeds, but if you have any global questions, I'd be happy to answer. Nick.
Generally speaking, is this essentially drug court, but expanded out to, like, theft? Is that a safe way to describe it?
Well, I would be cautious to use that as an analogy because not everyone's eligible for drug court. This is a prosecutor-led diversion program that perhaps are for people that are on the lower risk of committing crime. These are folks that it's not their first offense, but it's maybe not, they're so high up in the offenses where they need intensive intervention like a drug court provides. So this is maybe a little step lighter than drug court because it doesn't have court supervision associated with this. It's because it's prosecutor-led diversion in conjunction with our healthcare partners.
Specifically, what defendants and what offenses are eligible under this?
So right now in this pilot program, this is big box, so it's Kroger, Walmart, Target. This is big box shoplifting, big box theft. So it's a pretty narrow universe of defendants. It's also not their first offense because the office already has a first-time offender program. It's also not their 10th or greater offense because we deem them probably ineligible to participate in a program like this because of their criminogenic, the history of their crimes. So this is like everyone in between. And so we've identified since April 1st, we've identified 175 total offenses. But if you back off the first offenses and the folks who have 10 or greater, that leaves 75 people. Okay, so there's 75 people in a pool that were 14 are currently going through out of the 75, and 61 are in the process of getting screened.
And why big
Sorry
boxes?
for the math.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Why just big boxes?
Okay, that's actually an interesting question. When I inherited the city attorney's office, historically, the city attorney's office does not file its own criminal charges. So police does all of our charging, with the exception of big box theft. That is an agreement that my office has with the big box retailers where we have flexibility in determining which cases are going to be filed and when. So we're able to actually control the filing of these charges to be able to make them eligible for this program, meaning that we can file this case on our own timeline. Police aren't filing them for us. We have the ability to put them on an inactive docket, which is what we do now. So in the hopes of the successful completion of the program, we dismiss them off the inactive docket. And that's the partnership we have with the judges to make sure that we're not clogging their docket with a program like this. My goal though, long term is, and what I've challenged my staff is how do we move all charging decisions in-house so it's not just limited to big box theft so that we have more flexibility to do this program for other offenses across the board.
Correct me wrong, you said that you'd be working with some of these folks for about 6 months or so. Ideally, if this program is successful, how long would it continue just to be 6 months, or would there be maybe a year or 2 years?
Yeah, so in agreement with the court, this is a 6-month program. And success is defined as getting people headed in the right opportunity and seeing that they're taking advantage of the pathways provided to them. So it is showing up at your food bank. It is answering the social worker's call when it's time for check-in. We understand that this is not a linear line of success, that there's going to be ebbs and flows through the process, but that's with drug courts and that's with anything in the criminal justice system because these folks, life happens and they have to take care of their family and they typically have low economic opportunity and means. So this is a program that is designed to have flexibility, but at the same time is designed to give people that opportunity for success so they're headed in the right direction. To me, failure in this program would mean like you completely reject the opportunity for help, and then if that's the situation, the case is prosecuted like any other theft case.
So for clarity's
Yeah,
sake,
sorry, Glenn.
will these cases be prosecuted? Is this decriminalizing some offenses if somebody says, I did it because I'm hungry?
Well, I don't think it's decriminalizing it because the purpose of the criminal justice system, in my opinion, isn't necessarily a criminal conviction. The purpose of the criminal justice system is accountability and focusing on what really makes our community safer. And so by treating the underlying reasons why someone commits crime and pulling them out of that cycle of the reason why they committed crime, to me that is justice because the community is safer, the person is restored and headed in the right direction. If that person refuses to participate in the program, then there absolutely will be accountability. They will be charged, they will be arraigned before the court, and they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But the reality is the current way we do things is just that. They show up, it's a time served potentially, or a court cost is issued, and they go on with their life without ever having an intervention for help. And then we wonder why the same people are coming back through the system. We wonder why that same person is going to break into your car to steal change or steal your lawnmower or steal diapers from Target. But the reality is, like, that doesn't make our community safer because that person has never been given the opportunity to change their life. And that's what this program does, is an effort to make our community safer by treating the underlying reasons why that individual committed a crime. But there still is accountability because they have to check the boxes of getting an assessment for a drug addiction or mental health problem, showing up at their food bank, talking with someone about the opportunity to get employment if they lack it. So there still is accountability. It's just not maybe the historical and traditional accountability that we've seen through the criminal justice system. So in that regard, it is similar to what happens through success at a drug court or a catch court. It's just not as intensive a supervision because it's not run by probation. It's run by the prosecutor's office in conjunction with our healthcare organization.
Do you see any potential for abuse in this?
I mean, I don't think so, because the reality is if you're failing to participate in the program, you're still going to get prosecuted. So you have to show a good faith effort of wanting to reform your life and turn it around. And if you don't take advantage of these opportunities, then you're going to be prosecuted the way we've always prosecuted cases. So we're giving people the opportunity and opening the door, and we hope they walk through it.
And of the 14 that you have going through it, I mean, can you characterize how it's going for them at this point?
So it's my understanding, in talking with Earl, who's one of our social workers and the person running the program, is that it's going very well. We've had of the 14, we've had I think one person with a little bit more communication difficulty than the others, but even that person has been in contact. But the 13 out of the 14 have taken advantage of the pathway set out for them, and for privacy reasons can't really get into what each individual circumstance is, but they've shown an opportunity to take advantage about what's been presented and turn their life around to be the mom and dad they want to be. And that's the most important thing for the community, for community safety, and for their kids.
You talked about cultural change. Ultimately, if this program is successful, I'm assuming you like to scale it up and use it in other instances. I mean, ideally, best case scenario, how do you envision this changing the way that we handle criminal justice?
Well, I think it's a complete cultural shift. The way that we've historically looked at criminal justice is always been historically punitive. We want to make sure that we punish and we get a criminal conviction out of this case. That's why I think it's always important to note there are bad people who deserve to go to prison. We have very serious domestic violence. We have very serious OVI cases that we prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, among other things. There are also other crimes as well. But there are also a vast majority of people that just lack the opportunity to change their lives, that aren't bad people, but maybe made bad decisions in violation of the law to provide for their family or to feed a drug addiction. Like, those are the folks that shouldn't be clogging up our jails. Those are the folks that shouldn't be clogging up our criminal justice system. They need help. They need help. And we have ignored that historically in the criminal justice system because of just the overwhelming numbers of people that come through, without taking a step back and saying, well, hold on a second. Why are you here? Well, I'm here because I have a kid and I don't have a job and I needed diapers, so I stole them from Target. Okay, well, let's take a step back then and figure out how we put you on the right path to success. To me, that is the dual function of the criminal justice system. Again, there are bad people that deserve to be punished, and the criminal justice system has done a great job in doing that. There are also people that need help. And the criminal justice system doesn't always have to be punitive and focusing on punishment. The criminal justice system can be an opportunity for success. And I think that's what a program like this is. How do we use this as an opportunity to change people's lives? If you truly want to make our community safer and you want to change their lives to turn it around so they can be the moms and dads they want to be, and they can get a job and provide for their family and be, good tax-paying citizens. There's a whole other economic development wing of the criminal justice system that we don't talk enough about. The people that are intertwined with the criminal justice system that limits their ability to get jobs. So if we're able to provide them with that opportunity to get a job, they become productive taxpayer citizens, and that's a win for everyone in the community.
You believe the assessment, these 16 questions, will weed out the people who are...
36 questions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You believe that assessment will weed out the people who are doing things out of necessity or survival versus other motives?
Well, I think the 36 question questionnaire, as well as backing out the first-time offenders and backing out the 10+ offenders, that the combination of those three things then leaves us with a group of people that we think can really change their lives if given the opportunity.
Why not include first-time offenders, someone that maybe reached that level of desperation, like you mentioned, that they're don't have any money, their kid needs diapers, and they decide to do that for the first time. Why not include them?
Because we already have a first-time offender diversion program that I inherited as city attorney, which we have deemed to be successful. So we didn't want to disrupt a good thing just for the sake of doing it.
What's this program cost?
Well, that's a great question for our experts. I mean, it's built on Medicaid, and that's why Medicaid expansion is so important to our community, and why the people that fall through the cracks are able to use the council money. And I won't be able to give you the exact cost, and let the folks from the community answer that question. We can maybe get to you offline before I finish here. Any other questions? Meredith, we good?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We get the council member up there real
Yeah,
fast?
of course. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned, as a former prosecutor, in your experience, I mean, how often were the people that you were seeing in the courtroom, people who were reoffending, that had been through there once or twice before?
Yeah, a little over half. And it really just does depend on the situation at hand. And, we're not just talking about mothers and fathers, but we're talking about young folks who are out here trying to survive, whether that just be for lack of job or homelessness, and just trying to figure out a way to satisfy their needs that we just take for granted, you and I, every single day.
Thank you all.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming.